Welcome back to Judgment and Decision Making. I'm Dr. Padilla. Today we're going to talk about associative processing. Now, we've talked about priming in the past, which is highly related. It's the exposure to a stimulus such as a word or image can influence how we respond to subsequent related stimulus. In the past, I showed you an example where I had you look at a sequence of white images and at the end answer a question, which was, what do cows drink? And a large portion of people that are provided with that task believe that cows drink milk or respond that cows drink milk, even though they know that cows actually drink water. And the reason that is happening is because when you're shown a sequence of information, you create associations in your mind that generally help you make effective decisions. Associative memory suggests a network model where there is an organization of information in the mind based on meanings and associations. Our mind creates kind of networks of related information, which can help us retrieve information more readily when we need to in a particular context. You can imagine a scenario where you're at a sporting event and you're in a stadium and it's very loud. Now, imagine someone next to you starts talking to you. You might assume they're going to be talking to you about maybe the game that's happening or other sports-related information because you have a network of associations of sports information that is all being activated because you're in a stadium. And that can really help you if the stadium is really loud and you have a hard time hearing the person. But they might not be talking to you at all about sports. They might be bringing up some other topic. So it doesn't always lead to correct decisions, but it generally helps us in specific contexts. And the degree of relatedness is typically very important. Let's do a little example. I want you to think of your favorite band or musical artist. Now I want you to think of 3 songs. Okay, how many of the 3 songs that you thought of were from your favorite musical artist? Maybe all of them, possibly 2. What just happened is I triggered your associative memory for your favorite artist, and then it was easier for you to remember songs from your favorite artist. You could have thought of any 3 songs, but it's a little bit easier to retrieve that information that had just been activated. Now, if we made a larger jump in connection, if I had you just think of any artist and then 3 songs, they're less related in your network system, so there's going to be less of association between that information. If we look at it kind of in this network diagram here, I might ask you to think of a bird, and you might think of any number of different birds, but a network of associations between birds is going to be activated in your mind. And then so some types of information are going to be more readily available. If you happen to think of robin, then red-breasted might also be more easily retrievable. Okay, let's see someone else do this same type of association. I want you to watch this video and think about how she's remembering the information in the songs.
I'm going to be playing a game of song association. I can't stand it. Lost. I'm gonna just butcher probably all the words to all these songs, but I am a lost boy from Neverland, always in and near Peter Pan. And when they go, I play in the woods under my Captain Hook.
All right, so that was a fantastic example. She was asked to think of a song that was associated with loss, so she thought of Lost Boys, and then all of the words of the song that she remembered had to do with Peter Pan. She thought of Captain Hook, she thought of playing in the woods. She didn't think of all of the unrelated words. So because she thought of this concept of Lost Boys and Peter Pan, all of the important words were activated in her mind and therefore easier to remember. And she just kind of filled in the rest of the song with nonsense words. Okay, so the way that this kind of semantic priming functions is it occurs when we can recognize a word more quickly because a related concept has already been presented, as we saw with that last video. And it provides support for the network organization structure of the mind and how we remember information. Okay, so let's do a little experiment here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 words, and I just want you to, in your mind, read the word as fast as possible. Okay, that's all you have to do is I'm going to show you a word on the screen and just read the word. Okay, now think about how quickly you did that compared to this next example. Now, what is happening here is the first example where I showed you bread and chair are less related than the second example of table and chair. And when you have people do this in the laboratory, when you have them recognize these 2 words, we find that people can more quickly recognize table and chair than bread and chair. And this is on the magnitude of 100 milliseconds. So this is very, very quick processing that's happening. And this 100 millisecond difference is the priming effect, where we can very carefully measure the advantage that someone has in processing speed when they have been primed by information that is more related to the next information that we show them. Okay, summary here of semantic priming is that information is organized in semantic memory on the basis of meaning and associations. Spreading activation to related concepts helps speed retrieval of information. And that priming is the benefit of perception or comprehension that occurs when related concepts have been presented. Now, a really interesting example of this that you might have experienced in your life, I know I have as well, is when we make associations with information that other people don't have the same associations to. One example is thinking about bananas and then getting sick. I've known some colleagues who have had, bad stomach issues after they had bananas. And so when they think about bananas, they automatically think of vomit. Those 2 words are connected in their mind. So the words evoke emotions from past experiences with bananas, and those emotions can evoke facial expressions and even actions, even feelings of disgust. So these 2 concepts that weren't previously associated in our network organization are now connected because of experiences. And this relates to this concept of embodied cognition, which is where our bodies are connected to our mind and our mind is connected to our bodies. That provides kind of a feedback loop. And a really great example of this that I love has to do with this experiment here, where they find that they can change someone's beliefs about comics by simply having them hold a pencil in their mouth. Well, what they do is they have participants hold a pencil in their mouth sideways, and when they do that, they have to activate the muscles in their face that generally are activated when smiling. You can see it on the picture on the right there. So while the person is not smiling with the pencil in their mouth, the muscles for smiling are activated. And participants that have to do that manipulation, they find comics to be more funny than participants that have to hold the pencil in their mouth forward, which activates muscles for frowning. So this is to say that we get information from our body that influences how we perceive the world and how we make connections in our mind. Now, when our body is telling us that we are feeling sad or upset, then we might try to make sense of that by trying to explain why we feel that way. And that is how our body and our mind is connected, creates these associations. When you have a negative association with something, you might literally feel bad or grossed out when you see it. When you have a positive association with something, you might literally feel better when you see or experience that information. Okay, key concepts here. So that semantic priming is recognizing a word or picture more quickly because a related concept has already been presented. And embodied cognition is that our bodies are connected to our mind and the world.